Yeah, a lot of times it's really funny. Like if there's a room, just yesterday we played a room. My buddy Kagan Goldstein, we do a dueling piano show, and we played this room that always hits. Like the crowd is always into it. For whatever reason, yesterday maybe it was Sunday afternoon. Like people were kind of tired from the weekend or whatever. But we do this thing where I'm trying to think of a lyric like "Don't Stop Believing" or something like that. Like just a small town girl, where's she live? And then everybody's supposed to sing "Living in a Lonely World," right? And we did it yesterday. I was like, "Where's she live?" Crickets, right? But in a way,
keep going, yeah.
In a way, it still works because then if you just stop and look around, that's a big laugh, right? Because like, oh yeah, that clearly didn't work, and it's still
and it's something everyone should have got. But it's a big miss on that, like on the crowd's part. Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna miss, man. It's so funny sometimes.
Welcome back to the Lead Lamp Podcast. This is Brett Wiley, and we're here with Dr. Nyce, also known as Zach Nyce, Central PA performer. You can be seen pretty much anywhere that there's live performances, and I'm guessing you perform at a variety of different venues. So I want to get into your background in music, how you've transformed, your passion into something that you can actually have a livelihood with, because that's very interesting to me. It's not like you pursued a business venture and joined like the corporate world. You kind of took a different path in music. So completely different style of subject for us for this podcast. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
So, walk us through like the beginning. This is Zach Nyce before you were Dr. Nyce. Like, what got you into music, and then like, how did that progress into like, I think I could probably make this work.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna span many years.
Yeah.
I started
the cliff notes here.
Yeah. I grew up with a piano in the household, and from an early age, I showed interest. I would go back to the piano and not be able to do much, but plunk notes. And
it was fascinating to you.
Yeah, I would keep going back to the point where it was obvious to my parents that like, okay, we should probably get him in lessons. So I started lessons when I was 5, and I still remember my first lesson at home with my dad, like plunking out, reading the, so yeah, that was really a memorable moment for me. Stuck with it, took lessons from a very nice lady named Martha Bowles, 10 minutes from my house.
Locally?
So I grew up in Perry County.
Oh, okay.
So that would have been in outside of Landisburg, I believe.
Okay, that's local.
Yeah. But anyway, stuck with it all through school, all through high school. Kept taking piano lessons, and I got to the point where I was thinking about college, and I wanted to try majoring in music in college. So got accepted as a piano major and a vocal major.
So what does that path look like in college when you want to major in like piano or even just music in general versus like someone who's going and taking gen eds and doing something business track basically?
Right. So it's a little bit different, but in a way it's the same.
Okay.
So I was a good athlete, baseball, in high school, and I had to, I could not do baseball in college because I wanted to be a music major.
Gotcha.
Which I understood why, because basically a lot of your credits, music majors take a lot of credits.
It's a heavy course load.
More than average.
Okay.
22, 23 credits a semester, I think is average for a music student. But a lot of those aren't really, you don't have a huge workload for a lot of those credits because they're ensembles, things of that nature where you just have to show up.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. So choir rehearsals, I was in choir and chamber singers and a jazz program. Those are 2-3 hour rehearsals.
Yeah.
3, sometimes 4 days a week.
Okay.
So that ruled out baseball from college for me, which is okay because I think I was ready to pursue music. And
that was the next step. Next logical step was to put baseball aside, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I still played softball.
Yeah.
But The main workload though is actually your lessons. So
Okay.
if you're an instrumental major or vocal major, your lessons are once a week and they're for an hour. I say that's your biggest workload because it's preparing for those lessons.
Okay.
So, anywhere from 2 hours to 6 hours a day in the practice room, learning very difficult reps. So when I got out of high school and into college, that was like a huge shift. And so I was spending loads more time at the piano. And I'm glad I did because it allowed me to get up to snuff in terms of skill, chops.
Yeah.
And then the remainder of your credits are music theory, ear training,
Okay.
music history, more like textbook
Right.
college courses.
Right. Yeah. You're going by the actual course, not
Yeah.
lessons.
Yeah. So it's like those are where you write the essays. Those are where you do
Gotcha.
the reading.
And it's still critical. Like you need to learn. I'm sure you need to learn those things just to have basic understanding of when you're creating for yourself or you're making new music. It's good to have that history or those music theory courses under your belt because otherwise you're winging it. Not that there's not good musicians that can wing it, but like it's still
True.
great to have that background.
Yeah. So many, famous people like do not read music.
Yeah. How many of them through history? I know I've heard this before, but like how many of them that we know of just epic musicians of all instruments and abilities couldn't even read a sheet of music? It's crazy to hear about that.
Probably the biggest one is Paul McCartney
Yeah.
of the Beatles.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's one of the best songwriters of all time. In fact, I think only one out of the 4 Beatles
Could actually read.
could read. Yeah,
That's crazy.
he's like the biggest example, I think, just in terms of his output. I'm a huge Beatles fan. But there are many others, and of course,
I know I've heard a few others, but like it's just wild to me. Like they get that big, and they're like, you can't read sheet music. Like your music has been put into sheet music for other people to play, but you can't. You just play it off of feel, I guess, or what they hear.
Yeah, I mean, there's to a certain extent, like they've put in the time and effort to understand music in their own way.
It's in them.
Yeah, it's in them, and but I will say, having a knowledge of music theory and ear training and stuff like that, it opens a lot of different doors for me, where I can kind of enlarge the scope of what I do as a musician.
Not to go down that trail too far, but like, do you see music differently or perceive it differently after you have that understanding of how it's put together and composed? Like before you learn that and after you learn that, you're like, okay, now I can see what's happening in that song.
Yeah, that's a great question because I think that it takes a lot of mysticism out of music.
Okay.
Where when you understand the nuts and bolts, it's like, oh yeah, this just makes sense, right?
So when I hear a song compared to when you hear a song, it's like, I'm just blown away because I'm like, what? That sounds wild. But for you, it's like, okay, now I know, like I can see the scaffolding behind what you see, and it kind of, like you said, demystifies that.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it less good of a song or less
Exactly.
great piece. It's just different.
Yeah. So that's totally true. And like I still, listen to a song and like, oh, it might make me cry or pump me up for something or, so the effect of the music doesn't change, but just the understanding of how they did it, it's not as magical sometimes. But then again, I still hear things that are like, oh, I don't know how they're doing that.
Right.
So that's cool.
And I'm sure that changes as the times go through too. There's new things, like these newer musicians coming out and you're like, what are they doing?
Oh yeah.
Like I got to learn that now. Like I have to decompose what they're doing. Or not decompose, deconstruct, not deconstruct.
Yeah. There's a funny song about by Harry Nilsson. He's one of my big inspirations as a songwriter. He has a song about a whale that decomposes.
I'll have to figure that. I'll have to listen to that one.
He's a very interesting artist.
Okay. Yeah. So you get out of school and what was like your first step into like, okay, well, we're going to go for it. So like, were you working for a little while and then kind of doing music on the side till you picked up some gigs, or how did that work once you had your formal training, now you're trying to make it work?
Yeah, great question. I want to backpedal just a little bit because I was in school for a long time, probably too long. So I graduated from Susquehanna. That's where I got my undergrad.
Okay.
And then I was kind of pushed. And at this point I was playing Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, Brahms, classical, Western classical, the greats, you could say. And I was kind of pushed to keep going and that was good because I felt like, I'm good at this. I can do the solo piano thing. So I went on to my master's at Bowling Green State University in Ohio. And then I continued through to get my doctorate at Bowling Green State, Ohio. And that's where a lot of the teaching came in. So then I was teaching the piano classes. I was teaching the theory classes. I was teaching.
That's where you became Dr. Nyce.
And got my piece of paper and it became official. Then after, because I had like severe burnout in the latter years of my.
Sure, sound hard.
To be in school for that long. I was like, what am I doing? I was still sitting in the desk in the classroom with my notes. And I'm like, I'm like a 25-year-old dude. Like I kind of, so by the end I was like, okay, I could do this. They prepare you for a professorship basically to be an educator in higher ed. Which is great, but I felt that I didn't fit in that profession.
That wasn't the mold you fit into. No.
Yeah. So when I graduated school, I did work for a while. I'm fortunate that my parents started a concrete business.
Oh, nice.
And that helped pay for my undergrad education, which is amazing, and with some scholarships and stuff. But then, so I went to work for them. As a laborer, basically like a lot of heavy lifting. Concrete's like really hard work. It kept me in shape, which was nice. And it paid the bills and allowed me to start getting into the music scene to a certain extent. So joined a band. First band, still in the band. It's Cats 22.
Okay.
Check us out. We're an amazing classic rock cover band. It was the first band I ever joined, and I don't see myself leaving that band.
First and last band you've joined. Yeah.
Incredibly lucky in that regard as well. Didn't have to go through kind of like growing pains of
bouncing between. Yeah.
And working on chemistry. It's like, we're all just like great friends.
Are they all local?
Yeah.
They were all originally.
Yeah. We play the casino circuit and, Hollywood Casino in Grantville, York. Doing a lot of festivals and fairs this year.
Okay.
So yeah, joined up with them and, started singing with them, and I had some vocal training, but like I didn't quite yet see myself as a singer. And through their guidance and kind of support, I was like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then I started to book solo shows. And that's when I kind of figured out that like, oh, I'm not really great yet. Like I'm not really good, but I can do the show. And I think I can, like, if I stick to it and do the work and keep doing the work, that
it's got to feel strange too when you have like a crew and then you're out there back out, you go out on a stage and it's just you. Like all the eyes are on you, not your whole band now. And there's like less to hide behind when it's just you on the stage.
Yeah. So
it's got to be a moment. The first couple of times you're like, all right, big gulp. Like, you see the Adam's apple, like the cartoon, like here we go. And then you perform, but it is a lot of different pressure when it's just yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And you have to kind of like, you can rely on your bandmates sometimes to get the crowd interacted.
Yeah.
Somebody starts clapping or, sing this part, and so you can rely on your bandmates to keep the show energy going. But yeah, when it's just you up there, like you got to kind of really pick up, musicians all steal from each other a lot of times. Like if I hear somebody do a really good bit, I will shamelessly just steal it from them. Because I know that people will probably do the same for me. And or from
when you're trying to, like, your job is not just to play music. When you're hired, this is going to get into some of the questions I was telling you I'll start asking you. When you're hired to do a show, whether it's at a brewery or a bar, or I'm sure if you've done weddings or events like that, like,
lots of weddings, funerals,
so
you name it.
You're not just playing the music, you're trying to carry the evening or the day or whatever, and the energy of that. Like it's more than just music. You're building the atmosphere up for whatever that situation is. Unfortunately, if it's a funeral, it's different than a wedding and it's different than a bar.
Yep.
But like, you have to also learn that it's not just you performing the music, it's you carrying the energy expectation for that event.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to realize that it's not just about you, especially if, certain venues and things like that. Like for a funeral, I'm not going to do really flashy piano stuff. I'm going to keep it somber and respectful. And the exact opposite. If I'm playing a bar gig, it's about you folks having fun. Like, so I kind of want to facilitate that, try to get you clapping along, but you also can't push too far.
Right. There's a limit.
Yeah.
But I'm sure every room that you go into, let's use the bar example, like one Friday night to the next Friday night, you could have two completely different rooms, same bar, two different nights, could be two different places. And you probably can push it a little farther some nights, and you feel that. I'm sure you dip your toe in the water a couple of times. You're like, let's see if we can push it with this. Maybe they get rowdier. Maybe that crowd does not react to it as the same as the other night.
Yeah, exactly.
That's got to be crazy to have to play that out every time.
Yeah, a lot of times it's really funny. Like if there's a room, just yesterday we played a room. My buddy Kagan Goldstein, we do a dueling piano show, and we played this room that always hits. Like the crowd is always into it. For whatever reason, yesterday maybe it was Sunday afternoon, like people were kind of tired from the weekend or whatever. But we do this thing where I'm trying to think of a lyric like "Don't Stop Believing" or something like that. Like just a small town girl, where's she live? And then everybody's supposed to sing "Living in a Lonely World," right? And we did it yesterday. I was like, "Where's she live?" Crickets, right? But in a way,
keep going, yeah.
In a way, it still works because then if you just stop and look around, that's a big laugh, right? Because like, oh yeah, that clearly didn't work, and it's still
and it's something everyone should have got. But it's a big miss on that, like on the crowd's part. Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna miss, man. It's so funny sometimes. But and other times, you almost can't keep the crowd from singing. Yeah. So it's like day to day. And it also matters a lot, like the crowd. Like if you're an artist that has kind of a built-in crowd, like they see you're playing, they're gonna bring 20 people. Then it's less guesswork because then like, oh, okay.
That's my group.
Yeah,
and they could bring in a room up.
Yep,
on their own. Yeah.
Sometimes they'll bring it up when you don't want them to bring it up, but that's fine. Like I'd rather have that than nobody, playing a bartender. Nobody's there.
Right. Yeah, it's just you and a bartender jamming. Yeah. But I'm sure everyone has to go through those gigs too. Like you have those, and it's kind of. I mean, I'm not comparing it to stand-up comedy, but you got to go through like. You're good and you're bad. That's with any performance. Like you're performing, no matter what kind of art it is or any kind of performative art, you got to take your lumps and take some of those shows and like, oh, here we go. We got to get through this one.
Yeah, exactly.
It also builds up for when you have a good show and you're like, all right, here we go. And now we're ripping through this one.
Yeah. I like to fish, and my son's 4 right now. So he can't really like, so
has a little junior rod.
Yeah. But it's a mess.
I get it.
But I tell him you have to lose the big fish in order to learn how to catch the big fish. Right. So
sometimes you got to fish all day and just watch. You don't catch a lot.
Yeah. You don't catch it. Yeah. And I think about that a lot as a corollary to like what you were saying. Like you have to grow. In order to grow, you have to have those bad nights. Yeah. And you have to have the mediocre nights, and you have to have the weird nights, and then you start getting those great nights. Yeah. And then you don't want to stop. Yeah. You don't want to not have a great night.
It's probably such a rush too when you're done and you're like, damn, that was like we killed that one.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is. It's also problematic because then it's 1 a.m. and you have to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's a different schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. Common thing for musicians is like when you get home, like very few musicians that I know of can just like crash. Yeah. Yeah. Because you're kind of on a high.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's similar to, I mean, it's a different schedule too. Like I don't come home from work. Now I'm not performing. I don't perform for these guys, but it's the same deal. You're up, you're doing things all day. I don't get home at 5:30 and crash most of the time. Sometimes I can, but for the most part, I'm not, I'm up for 5 or 6 more hours, and then I go to bed at 10:30 at night. It's the same deal. You're getting home 1, 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
You're not just going to go home and fall asleep right away. I'm sure some nights you probably can, but it's the same deal. You have wind down time. Like you got to relax.
Yeah, musicians like you're up at weird hours. You go to bed at even weirder hours.
And with kids, it's probably even harder. Yeah,
it's pretty tough. Because I'm a stay-at-home dad. So like that's so my wife works full time. So yeah, I'm dad making eggs and taking them to school and doing laundry, doing dishes.
Yeah.
You know.
And trying to get some work in.
Trying to get some work. Yeah, it's nicer
Yeah.
now because my daughter's in 2nd grade and my son's in pre-K.
Yeah.
So 3 days a week, I have like a 3-4 hour window in the day. And I was like, well, okay, well, I can write some stuff.
Start messing around with this a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, let's go back into some of like the more fun, like performative stories. Like, I'm sure there's moments where you can really start to feel like the crowd or your audience like really come together.
Mm-hmm.
What's that feel like for you as a performer? I'm sure it's a great, like you said, it's almost like a high, like you get this endorphin rush, but like you can start to probably feel pretty early on, like, all right, this crowd's going to be, they're going to really gel. We're going to have a good night. As a performer, like what's that feel like for you, even as like as an artist, when people start really digging what you're doing and like, you can just tell like, this is going to be a good one.
Feels great. I mean, yeah, you can almost, there's like an energy to the room.
Yeah. It gets like a buzz.
Yeah. It
for
kind
you,
of buzzes. Yeah. Yeah. And, it's interesting because you can tell right off the bat if it's going to be a wild show because the bar's full or the coffee shop is full or whatever. Yeah. I'll never forget this. I play at this local place really close to my house called the Doyle Hotel. I still play.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, the Doyle.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I saw a picture of you putting your Doyle, or a video of you putting the Doyle sticker on the sign in Scotland. Yeah.
That's awesome. Right. Yeah. Because it's on the Appalachian Trail. Right?
Well, that's why I'm familiar with the Doyle is because I'm on AT all the time and we pass the Doyle a handful of times every summer.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes we'll stop in and get a burger or whatever, but
that's awesome.
We're always out on that trail. So I'm very familiar with the Doyle.
My wife and I have lived in Duncannon, and when we moved there, we were like, oh, the trail's right here. We should just, hike and camp and, take the kids. And we never.
You take it for granted after a while. Yeah.
No, it's silly. But
yeah, I'm the same. So I live down south of Carlisle, between Carlisle and Ship.
Oh, okay.
But I'm right off the AT south of you, like in Michaud State Forest.
Okay.
Same deal. Like when I first moved there, I'm like, this is sweet. It's right, like practically in my backyard.
Right.
And now I'm like, I got to make it a point to get out there because you forget. It's like having Hershey Park in your backyard. You're like, it's just there.
Yeah, it's just there.
I'm used
part
to
of the scenery.
Yeah. Anyways, the Doyle.
Yeah, so I'll never forget. Like I walked in the room, like I have my gear, and I'm like schlepping, and I walk in the room, and everybody cheers. I'm like, this has never happened before. This is going to be a good night.
Yeah.
But much more often, like 9 times out of 10, you walk into a room, you might get a guy that's like, oh no, like, oh, this is going to be loud and terrible. So really the best thing to do is get set up, stay out of the way, kind of try to be invisible a little bit if you can sometimes, and just start really slow. Start with little, slow tune, Van Morrison tune, something that's not really intrusive.
Right. Kind of starts to blend in.
Yeah. And then you start getting reactions sometimes and you're like, oh, they clapped after that one. Okay, now I'm going to hit them with like more vibey, dancey, sing-alongy type stuff.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of grow. They call it winning the room over, where you can kind of grow your impact on the room until they're ready to really be involved with the show.
Yeah.
Because if you sit down, I sit down to play, or guitarists will just stand. But if you hit them with heavy hitters right off the bat and they're not ready for that, then they're going to be like, oh man.
Well, and it's probably from the time you start to the time you end. I don't know what time the average show you would start at, but you might be hitting like the tail end of a dinner crowd at a bar, and then you're hitting later. You're hitting like the out for a night kind of crowd. So you don't want to not literally smack them in the face, but you don't want to hit. Like, you don't want to smack people in the face that are like trying to enjoy the end of their dinner.
Exactly.
With something rowdy. You can start a little calmer, and then that crowd starts to filter out, and you have your evening night crowd that's there for, more of a bar scene or a night out kind of scene where you're hitting them with a little bit more up tempo music, a little bit more rowdy.
Yeah, the classic sing-alongs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
now, this is one more question about this is, what does it mean to you? Because there's also got to be a takeaway, not just like, damn, that was fun. We had that room like on fire. It was a great time. But in the other settings, when you're playing for any other variety of things that you're hired or, there for, funerals, weddings, everything like that. What's it mean to you to put together that evening at, like, say, a wedding? Because we talked about funerals. No one wants to talk about that. But like, when you're able to know that, like, dang, I contributed to, like, they're gonna remember that wedding, and I was part of that wedding, and like, how difficult it is to put together an event like that, and how good does it feel when you can tell, like, we pieced it together, and that was an awesome wedding because of that.
I mean, it just says to me that I confidently did my job.
Yeah.
When it's pieced together well, and people have a good evening, and they're dancing, and they have nice things to say to you afterwards.
Yeah.
I think about value. Like, if I'm going to present a quote for a wedding, it's going to be pretty high, because weddings are a lot of work.
Yeah.
And they're not easy, and everybody's really stressed out. Obviously, it's a big day.
A lot of people on edge that day.
Yeah. So because of that, my quote, what I want to make from that evening, I have to bring along a certain value that people are going to understand that, okay, yes, this was so worth it.
Right.
And a lot of times you kind of have to go above and beyond what you imagine that monetary value to be. You're
doing more. Like, it's not just, you're not just making it more expensive because it's a wedding and you can take advantage of the wedding price. You're putting more time into it probably than what they see even at the wedding itself.
Oh yeah. And that's what a lot of folks don't understand about music in general, is that, well, this is like kind of a cliche at this point, but like, it's like the iceberg. Like 90% of the iceberg is underneath the water. You don't see it, and then, like, it's just a little.
I mean, I think that's like that with anything that's deliverable.
Oh yeah.
Like, whether we're building a website for someone, or you're putting together an evening of music for a crowd, or someone is making a piece of art, whatever it is, any kind of thing where you have a deliverable. Like, they see the top, but they don't see that huge iceberg underneath.
Yep. But you kind of want to present a product where it's almost like, oh, like they know it's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, with weddings, it's interesting because I've done so many different amalgamations of a wedding.
Different styles and.
Yeah. So like sometimes I'm only playing for the ceremony. Sometimes I'm only playing with a wedding band during the reception. Sometimes I'm doing both. Sometimes I'm like, I have a wedding for a good buddy of mine. I'm officiating for the first time.
Okay.
I was like, okay. For me, the most fun weddings are when you're playing with a band. Like, I've DJ'd weddings before. I'm not a DJ. It's a friend of a friend. They were looking for a cheaper price. I'm like, you're going to get a cheaper show.
It is going to be what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you the cheaper price, but you got to understand that I'm not a DJ.
Yeah.
I could do it, but, done like emceeing at weddings and stuff. But
yeah.
For me, the most fun is like, you get a band together and the bride and the groom are like, we don't care. Just like have fun, play fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's the greatest.
That's kind of what we did for our wedding with our DJ, where we know him though. And, you probably know him. I'll mention his name off the air.
Okay.
But,
yeah, I probably do. Yeah.
So we had like a couple, obviously you have a couple requests.
Yeah.
Have to, but
that's
then the rest of the night we're like, we just want it to be a party. So you make it a party. And he just went crazy with it. But that sets the night, like whether you're playing it and performing it as a band or solo, or you're DJing, even in your limited experience as a DJ, like you're making or breaking the night.
Yeah.
And that's not just that for a wedding. That's anywhere you're performing.
Yeah. And also like non-musical things, like just good business is like, just, wear a smile, be polite. Don't, if something changes, like you can do the change, be confident and
don't panic.
Don't panic. Don't get upset, because you're at work, and you want to have a good rapport with the people you work with.
So I'm going to go a little bit off of you, but into music. Some questions I have that I think are interesting. And I was thinking about it like on my way into work today. I was listening to music and I knew I was interviewing you. But it goes into what we were just talking about too. What do you, music is just so integrated in like everything we do, everything we do. So it's like in advertising, it's in, when people get together, they play some music in the background. When they have weddings or they're going out for the evening, like music is kind of almost like, I equate it to the fire. Like people gather around a fire to congregate. But like music in a room full of people is an easy way to kind of just have people gather and have something in the background to like be around. It's just so much a part of gathering with any group of people that it kind of sets the mood for the room, or it can make or break, like I said, environment. But if you look back anytime through history, whether it's colonial or even farther back, there's like music playing when there's a gathering. And it's just so cool that even though the styles change and genres change and there's new genres, like music is just at our core, always around when there's a group of people. I don't know if you ever think about that. I just was thinking about it on the way in. I'm like, I'm listening to it in my car, but I know we're going to be talking about it later. And it's just like everywhere you look, there's music somewhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere, man. And that's so cool. I really like that analogy of a fireplace.
It's like it's an easy way to have, like if you have a group of friends coming over, you have a summer picnic, you're probably going to put someone in the background. No one really cares what's playing, but it's there. And if it's not there, people notice it and they're like, like it's kind of quiet.
Yeah, it's like, why is there no music?
Yeah.
That's so funny because for a comically long period of time, I didn't play music on my set breaks.
Okay.
And I realized, I was like, this is so silly. Like I have to play music on my set breaks because it keeps the momentum going. It keeps people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really community driven, but it even goes beyond that because like you're listening in your car, like you probably, well, sometimes you would, but more often you probably listen to music that like is important to you specifically, like as an individual. Like you have a certain understanding of that song through the lens of you, like yourself.
It means something to me.
Yeah,
and I'm either going back to it because it invokes a feeling, or I'm angry and I need to listen to something more aggressive, or I'm trying to calm down. But I have my own selection of things that work for me to do that for me, but you probably are a completely different playlist for those same types of things.
Yeah. But that's what's really cool when you bring it back to the community aspect, because you've done that work on your music and yourself, and then you bring it to your friends and you're like, man, I hope they like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're your friends and you want to feel that connectivity with them, right?
And there's a whole, so you have your personal, we'll just call it like your personal playlist. It's in your head, but you know that that's what these songs and this type of music does this for me. But then, your friends all have their own personal thing, but then also as a group, you guys have like, oh, remember we were out, or they played this at so-and-so, whatever concert we went to see together. You all you begin to create a community around, like at least I do with my friends. Like we went to these concerts together. We saw those artists. Remember we played that at our wedding. So-and-so kicked something over and was dancing and crazy. But like music is so tied into what you do as when you're creating memories, and you don't think about it that way, but like I do. I mean, I see, I recognize that all the time. I'll be with my wife and we'll be listening to, we're very into country music too, but we'll hear a Toby Keith song. We'll be like, man, remember we went to a Toby Keith concert and my buddies were all there and there's a big thunderstorm and it was just a crazy story. Yeah. But like, that's a memory and it's tied back to music, but most people overlook that. Yeah,
for sure. It's like smell. It's like smell is so closely tied to memory.
Yeah.
A different sense, like hearing is also tied to memory. And it's cool. Like, so those songs, like, with your girlfriend, like they're not like, you're not going to bring some of those songs to the boys though.
No,
you know what I mean? No. Like, I'm not going to go,
my wife and I really love this song and my buddies are going to be like, don't play that shit. I mean, like, this is a dude's weekend. We're not playing that.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, guys, check out this Teddy Swims love song, man.
Yeah.
And then like you look at, okay, so an extension of the boys is like the team, right? So in high school playing baseball, like I listened to more hip hop than I ever.
We were talking about this, Tyler, he's on the other side. We were talking about this, I think a week ago, about like some of the rap and hip hop we listened to. I played ice hockey, but like in the locker room.
Nice, man. I love ice hockey.
We would never play that stuff. Like I would never admit publicly I'd listen to half the stuff I did in the locker room with my team. And you're probably like that with your baseball team. You're like, that's kind of embarrassing. But in the moment, you're like, this pumped us up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Like, but yeah, there's another aspect of like connectivity. It makes you feel like more of a team.
Yeah. It's almost a primal thing. Yeah. Not that the songs were, but like,
oh yeah.
But it's like you're getting ready for your game and at your hype songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to bring it back to like the bar gigs and the big sing-alongs, like one of the most beautiful things about it is that I don't know everybody in that room.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my favorite things to do is like sing it and then just get off mic. I'm not going to do it to this microphone, but like, I'll just throw my mic because it'll swing on a boom stand like this. I'll just throw my mic out of the way and just sing with everybody else. And there's no hierarchy. Like, I'm not the more important singer than any of these people. Like, it's no, we're all the same.
They're part of the show.
Love this. Yeah.
Like they become, now you're inviting the whole room into your performance, but now it's like, hey, we're here doing this now. It's not me up here doing this.
And that's so beautiful to me because like, yeah, it makes sense for a team to have a song. It makes sense for, spouses to have a song together. The boys have a song. But what about people I don't even know? We could still have
strangers.
Song. Yeah, we could still have a song. That's so cool.
Yeah, and they probably leave. Well, hopefully, this is what you're hoping to do. But they leave that night and they're like, "Man, that was a fun night." Like,
yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, that's all you can hope for. And it just takes a long time to start to understand it, like
how that works,
what works, and what doesn't work, and songs that you really love aren't going to go down with the boys or the strangers in the room sometimes, and that's fine. Like, but the more you do it, the more you start to unlock these songs. And some of them are really surprising. Some of them are so surprising. Like, oh, you guys love this song?
I'm sure you'll play new ones too, where you're like, they all like that one. Like it's a newer song you learn. It's like newer on the radio, newer out. It's a hit. You're like, well, we'll try that tonight. And then it hits and you're like, oh yeah, that's a silly song to go crazy at a certain setting, but it does. And you're like, okay, well, that's different.
Yeah.
It worked.
Well, some of the ones that work so well are kind of comical. I think maybe because I'm a guy doing Celine Dion or doing Taylor Swift or doing Billie Eilish, those songs in general work if they're done well.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The underlying thing here is that quality is really the most important. And then you can start to experiment with like different songs, but the quality has to be there.
Yeah.
You got to sing in tune. You got to play the right chords. You got to play the right notes. Like,
but you can't just jump in with one of those songs. Though you got to kind of warm the room up.
Oh yeah.
And then before you know it, you have like a room full of dudes singing a Celine Dion song.
Dude, and so funny. Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Raining Men is the best. Like, it's raining, man.
And you got a bar full of guys singing it, and their girlfriends are like holding. Oh man, they're all embarrassed.
Yeah,
but that's what it's about. And it's not even about the music at that point. It's like everyone's enjoying the room, and that's kind of what I was getting back to with that previous question. Like, you're playing music, and it's drawing things out of people that they wouldn't act like that in public or at their work.
Right.
Maybe they would. Some people here might do that.
Yeah.
But it's opening people up into a different, they're being themselves, they're expressing themselves differently.
Yeah.
And they might not even be into music like you are, but it's bringing them out of their shell a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Could also be because they're at a bar, but
that definitely helps.
But it happens at other events, I'm sure too. So
yeah, for sure. But that's why it's a business to business, right?
Right.
I'm bringing my business to your business, and we're working together to create something that people are going to remember, and then hopefully want to go back. To that establishment.
It's a lot more involved than I originally thought. Than just like, I'm going to hire someone for music. Play my bar tonight. It's a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's get into what you have coming up. So I know you said you were working on your own projects.
Yep.
Do you want to kind of give us a plug for like some of your music album?
Absolutely. Yeah. Please, whatever streaming platform you listen to, Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, search Dr. Nyce, DR.NYCE, and you can find my original music. So far, I think I have six or seven singles released, with a full-length studio album coming out hopefully this month. Okay. The end of the month.
I saw on your Facebook you had a single released recently. Is that part of that album?
Yeah, Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
It is one. So I think five of the tracks are singles released prior to the album coming.
You're kind of building up.
Yeah, which is the exact opposite of what music used to be.
Right.
Like they would come out with the album and then it'd be the singles off.
Also crazy. Like,
I'm
sure we're not too far off in age. I remember like you had to wait until one of my favorite examples of that when I was a kid was Like I love my dad. I grew up listening to Metallica with my dad, like the old Metallica.
Yeah.
And I remember like, oh, we know there's a new album coming out, and I had to wait for the cassette tape to come out. And you go to the wall down here at Capital City Mall and get the tape with the blue sticker. You know, they had the blue guaranteed for life sticker on it, and you couldn't listen to any of it until maybe like that week on the radio. They'd play like a single, like to tease their new album, but that was it. Now you get the whole album out in singles for like a month before the album comes out.
I mean, so I understand. That always kind of bugged me too. But now that I've been doing it, it makes business sense to do it that way, because the way that the streaming platforms work is, I mean, you guys are doing content. It's pretty similar. So in order to grow your following, you have to continue to put out quality content. Volume, right? So I released basically since September, I've been releasing a song a month. And then hopefully now the entire album will come out. But then I got to do a lot of work and be quick and get back in the studio, because I need to keep posting. I need to keep putting content out every month. That's generally the time frame that streaming platforms like, because they have so much power over how many people listen to your music. Yeah.
That's kind of, everyone has their own opinions on it, I'm sure, just like everything else. But I'm sure, and I'm not even in the music industry. I just know from my limited knowledge of how it's changed the music industry. Like, it's definitely, there are artists that embrace it and they still put out quality content, and that's kind of their brand. But I've noticed even some artists that I've followed that have almost cheapened their brand because they're trying to keep up with that. And it's like, that is not, what are you putting that out for? Like,
exactly.
It's not what you used to be.
Exactly. And songwriting is so like, it's so, what do you want to say? Like metamorphic or whatever. It's like songs like will either come to you in 30 seconds and you have the whole song, or they come to you in like 30 days, right?
It just drips out in little pieces.
And you're like, no, that's terrible. And like you write something down that you think is great, and then the next day you're like, this sounds like, it sounds god awful.
Yeah.
So then so yeah, I can honestly see that happening with artists. Like you have this pressure to keep putting out music. Put out music. So then you start putting out things that maybe aren't ready to be put out. Yeah,
it's a little premature to have, whatever that was released, and then your audience hears that though, and they're like, what was that?
Exactly. And the same way, like I have good buddies of mine who were like, dude, just release the whole album. And I was like, well, I can't because it's not ready yet. And also Spotify, the algorithm wants me to do it this way. So it's, you got to play with
the rules that they set. So,
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
and that's like that with any of the content we create. Like we can't just post everything today and tomorrow we would have nothing. And then our analytics, they plummet again. So it's good and bad though. Like it's sped up, I think, a lot of the, not just the music industry, but just the content industry. Like it's sped it up. It's offered, I mean, when we were younger, 25 years ago, like you'd look, when the first iPod came out even, like you would still be blown away with how quick we can access music today, or access any kind of content today, but music in general, because that's topic for today. Like the idea, even when the first iPod came out, or when we had the old CD Walkmans, or before that, like the idea that you could have what you have available to you to change music on a whim like that is wild. Yeah. From what we have now. So
yeah. It's so funny you mentioned buying CDs and cassettes at the Capital City Mall, because that's exactly what I used to do.
Yeah.
Like I bought my first Weezer CD there. Like
that was I think it was the Wall. They had two of them there. They had the one at the old food court, which is like now where the DSW is.
Yeah.
The shoe warehouse. That was the food court. And then in the corner there was a wall, the Wall.
Yeah.
And they came FYE later.
FYE.
And then around the corner, like down towards like the Payless and stuff are.
Oh, there was like a Suncoast or something.
Oh yeah, Suncoast Video. Yeah.
They had video and music.
Yep.
VHS, man. Like
that's crazy how much that's changed.
You know what's funny about material music now is that vinyl is actually more popular than CDs and cassettes. Like,
well, and there's like we're going
I know.
down
I'm sorry.
No, this is good. This is good. But we had there's like companies out there doing like boutique luxury vinyls now. Like they're crazy. I don't know if you've seen them. I've been captivated. I'm not into vinyl, but I go down those like how it's made wormholes or rabbit holes on YouTube. And I watched a whole video of how they like make these custom pressed crazy colored vinyls now that are like collectibles for certain artists. And like, that's crazy. And it wasn't even popular 15, 20 years ago, but now it's had this huge resurgence in vinyl.
I know. And I like, part of me is like a little chagrined about it because I used to go to thrift stores and collect vinyl because it was cheaper. Mm-hmm. It's hard to make money in music. I mean, I don't think that's any kind of misconception, but like, just because I could get like a Yes album, a Rush album for like $1.99.
Yeah.
Like,
you know, yard sale prices back then.
Yeah, exactly. And like, but so nowadays that vinyl is so popular again, it's like, I got to spend $60 on this album.
So I equate this to a very similar thing. When I was in high school, I don't collect them now, but when I was in high school, I worked for a sports card shop. It was actually over here in Hartsdale Plaza. Sports Cards Plus.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that.
Yeah. I used to work at there, just, you know, a high school job, a little bit out of school too. But like, I've seen the sports card industry do the same thing where like it used to be meant for, you know, you could go in $5 or less, $2. You could get a pack of cards for $1, collect the set. That was the deal, whatever. But now same deal, like the sports card industry is almost geared more towards like highly affluent collectors, not like kids. Like you're dropping $12 to $20 a pack for like the hobby collectors, not like the Walmart packs, but they have different stuff in them. So if you buy the cheap ones at Walmart, you're not getting the same collectibles as these hobby collectors. And it seems like that, like with the vinyl industry, like it's almost being priced out of what it used to be when you could collect vinyl and, like you said, get them for a couple bucks here and there.
Yeah. And it's also put an immense strain on like the production of vinyl. Mm-hmm. So like now it's really expensive to get them made.
Yeah.
You know, but it's possible. I mean, you got to like go through a company and.
Oh, you mean like as an artist?
As an artist, yeah. So I will have a physical album of my music, but I'll put it out digitally first.
Yeah.
Until those vinyls are pressed, and then have a release party where people can buy the.
Well, I'm sure it's not just the price, but it's also the time involved.
Yeah.
Like you got to wait.
A long time. It takes months. Yeah.
So maybe you don't know this. If you do, please let me know how they do this. How do they press the sound? Like, how do they get the sound into the vinyl?
So
do you know how that works? I'm just
at a very basic level. I have an understanding. So basically, all of sound is made up of waves, right?
Right. There's a needle.
Yeah. So basically, they diminish the space of that wave, so that basically there are bumps and ridges within the track. That the needle goes in, and if you honestly like, you can hear it if you turn off whatever amplifier or speakers
and
you
just
have.
Listen to the.
You can hear it. Yeah, you can hear the actual song. It sounds crappy, but you can hear it. It's
like real tinny.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, they have it's a big metal disc.
Yeah,
that they call this something I can't remember. And basically, it's wax. Right, the actual vinyl is wax. And it's just pressed. And then they have a special unit then that they take and put the record on there, and it cuts it exactly where it's supposed to be cut.
Gotcha.
So you get a perfectly round disc.
It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, that's basically all I know.
But that's the most analog I think it can get at this point today.
Yeah, and you know, there used to be this big argument like analog is so much better than digital, which I don't know which camp I fall into, especially now that digital audio has gotten so good. But
it's so crisp,
yeah. We used to do that. Like when I was in school, I had some music technology classes, and we would play the digital recording, and then we would switch to a vinyl, and you could hear a difference. But to say that it's better is unfair because you need the most hi-fi gear if you're going to play a vinyl and you want the best sound that you could possibly have. You have to spend thousands and thousands.
Yeah, and today
thousands on speakers and amplifiers.
And the entry level today for digital is so low for high quality digital. Like a couple $100, you can have a decent sounding thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking consumer grade. Like if average Joe wants to have good sounding music in their house, or an entertainment system, whatever it is for audio, like the entry level for digital is so low now compared to if you want it for analog for playing high quality music, right?
Yeah, and you also have to understand how it all works together, which is you know not a lot of people do.
Yeah, you have to
speaking with analog.
You have to have someone has a knowledge in it, basically an engineer for that to set it up.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did for my original music was, I'm confident in my ability of playing, songwriting, the musical sides of things, but I have very limited knowledge on what an audio engineer has to do to make things sound good. So I was like, okay, this is my way of supporting the music industry. I'm going to, hire someone who could really make these things sound good through anybody's speakers. Whoever's listening anywhere around the world, like he's going to make them sound good and he's going to put things together in a way that it's a quality product. Nice.
All right. Well, I have one last topic / question I want to hit, and it's more about, either yourself, go back to young Dr. Nyce, pre-Dr. Nyce, or anyone that is looking to get into music today. What would be the best path forward for someone that's like, all right, I really want to, get into music. I know I got to cut my teeth and get, go through, like we said, take your lumps, play some shows you don't really want to, or, some dead rooms, kind of not very well interacting, but you're going to go through that. But what's a good starting point for someone who's maybe in high school, very passionate about music, young version of you, that if you had to give advice now, you're like, this is what you should probably do. Every path is different, but you've seen the good and bad from both sides of it. So what would you tell a younger self getting into music?
I'm a big nerd.
Okay.
I read a lot of fantasy. One of my favorite authors right now, his name's Brandon Sanderson. He says, love the process. Okay. So the process is not at the end of the night when everybody's roaring, clapping, yelling, like that was so awesome. That's not the process. The process is you taking initiative to get from the couch to wherever you practice. Piano bench, guitar stool, drum set, whatever. If you can find that you love learning new songs, nobody loves to do scales, but if you get some enjoyment from that, that's really the most important thing is find ways that you really love the process, not necessarily the end result. Because that's the most of what you'll do. Another thing is don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And when someone is helping you grow, trust that they're doing it from a good place. And take their criticism. Don't be afraid to take criticism. Get a thick skin. There are a million players, singers, songwriters better than me. I'm happy to take whatever kind of criticism anybody would feel that they need to give me. Because as artists, you have to grow, and it's really hard because it feels like a blow to yourself, your love for this thing that is music. Yeah. You love it so passionately, and someone says, hey, you were a little flat there. It's like, oh no, it's really hard to take.
Don't let it crumple you.
Don't let it crumple you. Yeah. Just, get a thick skin, be confident you got this.
Yeah. Well, and even if someone might have said it to you in a little bit surly way, or it's maybe not the way you wanted to have had them say that to you, just don't look at it that way. Right.
Yeah.
Take the positive. So if I came up to you at the end of a show and you're like, man, I would not say this because I would not know what it means, but you were really flat. That was, not that great, whatever compliment, good or bad, I gave to you. If it wasn't delivered in the nicest way, you could still take the criticism out of it without the anger or the bad intent with that comment.
Right.
Someone might have just came up to you and said, man, you suck. Well, that you kind of throw out because you're putting yourself out there and they weren't. So that's the first part. But if it was a valid criticism, maybe just delivered grumpily or angrily, take just the criticism part and work on improving that, not the extra baggage it came with it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like in those cases, a lot of times the people have been drinking.
Yeah. Well,
So like they don't know.
you can
like,
dismiss that. Yeah.
yeah. But there will still be kernels of knowledge. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised how many times like somebody's drunkenly said like this, and this. And then, I'm at home talking to my wife about it and they're like, well, they might have a point there.
Yeah.
Like,
It's kind of like,
maybe you're right.
earmark that page and come back to it, but just don't take it personal. Like,
Yeah.
just look into like, why would they say that? And then look into what you were doing and like, oh, I could improve that or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever micro improvement you can make out of that is still positive. So, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So embrace the process and enjoy the process. So, figure out how to get yourself excited about learning and making those mistakes is the best way to grow, right?
Yeah. For me, it's like finding a song that I'm really obsessed with. Bobby Caldwell's "What You Would Not Do for Love" right now. I'm obsessed with that song. So it's like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to memorize this song, figure out how it works, why I love it so much, and then take that knowledge and apply it to the next song and the next performance and the next songwriting session. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, we covered your new songs coming out, your new album, hopefully coming out soon.
Yep.
Where to find you, your history of everything. Is there anything else you wanted to kind of like give a shout out to before we wrap up?
Shout out to Cats 22. Love you guys.
We'll put their link. We'll make sure we put their link in our show description.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Shout out to my buddy Kagan, 176ers Dueling Pianos.
Okay.
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, well, we had you on. Where can we see you next? Where are you playing next?
Without pulling out my calendar.
They can find it on your Facebook and on your socials too.
I post my schedule weekly or bi-weekly on my social media pages. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, if you want to check out where they can catch you guys or your band, we'll put the social links in the description.
Awesome. Thank you so
much. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was great.